Hello and welcome to, well, what is it? It's a back of the nest sort of 15-minute catch-up for pre-season. Just get ourselves back in the groove a little bit and give you wonderful listeners something, I don't know, something, is it going to be good? Who knows? We've just started recording. Let me start by introducing, I can't even say the word introducing this early, it's not good, is it? Let me start by introducing my panel. First up, Patrick O'Connor.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
I mean, everybody can't answer, otherwise it'd be chaos.
Yeah,
but
good point.
I'll answer. I'm all right, Patrick. Not too bad. Bit warm in my my recording studio, as I'm going to call it today.
How do you define warm?
Well, I mean, I would say it's probably about 24, 25 outside, and it's at least 10 degrees hotter inside this.
Could you give me that in?
What in Fahrenheit? You mean?
Yeah, that one.
I don't know. Is it something like you double it and add 30? No, double it and add 30 would be insane, wouldn't it?
Right.
Or would it? No, it's about right.
So that's not.
So I would say it's approaching 100 Fahrenheit.
No, it can't be that hot. It's 90 over here. It can't be 100 over there. It's impossible.
In my living room, specifically in my living room.
Oh,
outside.
Are you close to the equator? Then I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Got it.
Can you hear that low vibrating noise?
That's what she said.
Anyway, I'm just gonna plow on. That's also what she said. Also here we have Chris Clark.
Hello, Chris. How do?
Hello. Yeah. I'm not going to answer that question again. How are you?
No. Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. Looking forward to the new season and looking forward to a bit of chat about it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Very concise. Thanks, Chris. And we also have Mr. Mike Scott.
All right, everyone's bringing their B game so far, aren't they? Yeah. We're properly pre-season jaded.
Well, look, it's important. It's important to sort of just ease yourself into a season. Don't peak too early. Like remember Jordan Much when he played like an actual footballer for a pre-season? Stephen Dobby, although he's hit that purple patch late in his career, isn't he? So.
Yeah, this is true. I don't know if you asked, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Back from Crete, had a nice holiday in the sun, and now it's my kind of weather here as well. So I am good.
You had you sent a couple of pictures to the chat. Troublingly feminine legs.
Troublingly feminine legs.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I did until Terence said that he had a semi that he didn't know how he felt about, which I took as the biggest compliment I've ever received in my life. So yeah.
We're going to use all this.
Oh, we've got you. Yeah, absolutely. What else can we talk about? What else can we talk about? Well, first of all, we can start talking about the fact that young Aaron Wan-Bissaka has joined Manchester United. Upfront fee of 45 million. There are add-ons on top of that, depending on what you read. It could take it to sort of 55 or 57.5 million, which would be an incredible fee were we to get to that level. But on its own, it's a pretty good fee.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about this is it's such a high fee that we can talk about it without upsetting people, because there'd be certain, I think if he'd have gone for less, or, if we'd have lost Zaha, we'd be brushing over it as a subject, because I don't think people would want to hear any more about it. But this is financially a really good thing. I heard Simon Jordan on TalkSport talk about how a right back is probably not going to define the season at Palace, but could make a difference for Man United, and I think that's true. Whether we get someone else or whether we go with Joel Ward, it's a massive loss, but it's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, honestly. As Mike stated, it's a lot of money for a right back. It's something you can't turn down. But he had such a short time in our first team, and though he was absolutely phenomenal as a player, it's like I feel I'm going to miss him because, again, we don't have a right back of that quality. But the amount of money we got from it, with our financial situation, I just think it's something we had to do. So as much as I didn't want him to get sold, it's one of the few transfers that in my mind I can actually get my mind around. It makes sense for both parties. I just hope he does. He does. I guess okay. I don't like Man United very much, so I hope he does okay there.
I think Patrick's point there is really key, which is wishing him well in the move, because that's not a universal perspective among Palace fans, sadly. There's quite a lot of negative commentary, or certainly rewriting of history along the lines of, well, he wasn't that good, or I don't feel that much affection for him. We didn't have time to bond with him. All of which, frankly, I think is junk. I mean, we're going to miss him. He's a great player. I really wish him all the best for the future, because he's done nothing wrong. He's sought to advance himself. Absolutely will miss him, but we've got Joel Ward, who can do a solid job for us, and it was clearly good business, as everyone else has said.
For me, I think the point you make is extremely good, Chris, where a few fans have said, we pulled Man United's pants down with the fee there. He's only played 40-odd games, and okay, he's got great defensively, but not so great offensively. There's a lot of, as you say, it's revisionism to a degree, where people are kind of making themselves feel better by talking about a player who is exceptional in that way. Now, it's no guarantee he'll go to Man United in their system with their management and have the kind of huge impact he had at Palace, but there's a good chance, because he's got the right temperament and as well as the talent. But I think the other side of it, where, initially when the deal was announced, there was a lot of criticism that went Steve Parish's way. And about, first of all, people getting really upset that we didn't get the Zaha clause taken out. Well, that was just something that was put in an article, and you can't choose to believe it as a fact. It wasn't really on the table at any stage by all accounts. And I think the deal that was done is exceptional for the player at the stage that he was. And yes, fees are crazy, and if a big team comes in for your player and that player wants to go, which is pretty clear that Aaron Wan-Bissaka wanted to leave and take that opportunity, I think the club can only do what they did and get the absolute best possible deal. Nobody else was really at the table there. So when you're negotiating with one team for one player that you don't want to sell, but wants to leave, that's really the kind of best result you can possibly hope for, I think. In terms of his ability and what we're going to miss, I honestly hope, with the greatest respect to Joel Ward, I just hope we haven't got Joel Ward for a whole season, and we need to go out and get a similar, a right back that does the Premier League thing, which is defend and attack at pace and has an engine to get up and down the side of that pitch. One of the reasons Wan-Bissaka made such an impact is because, Wardy doesn't really do that with any real confidence. Lets a few too many crosses past him, and is capable of some good moments going forward, but not lots. And, as much as he is a solid player and he's no slouch, he certainly doesn't have the pace that Wan-Bissaka has and the sort of skill on the ball. So there's a lot of reasons to be upset we had to sell him, but at the same time, that's football. It's just what football is now.
Just one phrase that you used there was that he wanted to go, and I'm sure he did, but it does sound like he was a United fan. That Instagram picture that came out with him wearing a shirt when he was a kid and stuff. I think we've got to say it's not just about him being a fan. You're going from, whether it's 10,000 or 15,000 a week that he was on, heard different rumours. He's on 80 now, and anyone would take a 6 or 7-fold increase in wages to go to a side, even if it's a sideways move, let alone an upwards move. But there was a poll on Twitter doing the rounds that Hopkins looking to kill one retweeted, and I think 13% of people said that they would boo Wan-Bissaka when he comes back, and that's crazy talk, because you can't have a bad word to say about the guy. He's gone off, like Chris said, furthered his career. If you're planning to boo him, then there's something wrong with you. And those 13% of people, I hope some of them were just saying that for a laugh or angry for a minute, because that's just crazy talk.
On one final note, it's interesting, over the last 10 or so years, we've developed some pretty decent right backs. We had Nathaniel Klein, obviously, sold him off to, I guess it was Southampton first. We had Mandela Egbo, who went off to Germany. I guess he's now just signed for a second division team in Germany. And we had Wan-Bissaka. So let's hope that there's another right back in the system. And again, I'll restate again, getting 50 million for a player who played a year for us and plays right back is great business for us. I just really hope, I hope he does well, and I hope that we can obviously replace him with either Klein, who rumors he might come here, or maybe someone from the academy.
Well, all that said, It just popped up on my phone that Aaron Wan-Bissaka tweeted, "Let's get it," and then it's hashtag MUFC, hashtag AWB. You're a picture of him in a Man United shirt. So just going to do a live at the time of recording, live unfollow. There we go. Get that one from there.
Nicely done. Until we buy him back for 13 million after a failed move.
Exactly.
Absolutely right. We're talking of players we sold for big money and bought back. Obviously, Wilf, another one whose agent is pretty clearly pushing for a move. And, from what I understand, Wilf is, and you can understand, you can see he's just watched what is essentially, to him, a kid who's just come through and played barely any games get a big move. It seems that he would really want that big move, and Arsenal being the team linked. But so I think how on earth Arsenal are going to actually afford to buy Wilfried Zaha, I have absolutely no idea. Again, there's no point taking too much in account of figures that are put in papers in terms of what their budget is, because we all know from speaking to Steve Parish a number of times that budgets don't quite work like that. You don't go to a manager and say, you have 45 million to spend in this transfer window. It doesn't work that way. You identify players, you see if they're worth the investment, whatever that investment might be, and if the money gets too rich for you, you don't go for it. And but it seems to be that's the move his agent is looking to get for him. Every year we sort of think it might be the summer that we lose Wilfried Zaha. Personally, I think it could get a little uncomfortable in terms of the fact that he wants to go, but the money that we're going to want for him, it's going to be very, very tough for someone to come and pay that, really.
Well, I was just going to ask what everyone thought. Like Arsenal's modus operandi, and I think it was started by, Wenger was a big fan of the swap. And he talked about it, and he said a couple of things before he quit Arsenal. He said that more and more players will be going at the end of their contracts rather than going on big money deals, which I think is possibly coming true to an extent. And secondly, that there would be more swap deals. And I would have thought that, judging by the rumours, however true they were earlier on in the off season, they'd be looking to swap players. So, would that benefit Palace at all? I mean, I don't know. It depends who they were offering. But there are some players over there that are fairly decent. It just depends if they're of any use to what Palace need.
Well, one of the rumoured players was it El Nani? So I think if that's going to add about £15 million if we have to take it. But again, it comes down to what we actually need. I saw some talk that we're quite keen on Callum Chambers. Again, that's a player who can play centre back and right back, and I think probably fill in at left back as well. Good versatile player across the back, and decent talent. Was very, very well regarded at Southampton coming through, and hasn't quite worked at Arsenal like you thought he might. But that's not something I would be against in terms of offsetting that transfer. But again, you can't replace Wilfried Zaha really.
I'm actually watching the AFCON now, and Wolf hasn't started the last two matches for Ivory Coast, and they haven't actually done very well. So it was a chance for him to shine on a big stage this summer, and unfortunately, he hasn't had the opportunity to. So it'd be interesting if he did get a move to an Arsenal, how he'd actually do.
Well, you can't help but think that the way we play, he's always the player we look for, isn't he? And that, in a sense, gives him a decent percentage of the ball and decent opportunities in the right areas. But on the flip side, he has to spend quite long periods, particularly at home, without seeing the ball, just without to be able to affect the game in any major way. And it's obviously under Hodgson, he's asked to do a very specific defensive job when he's in certain positions. So you kind of can't help but wonder what he'd be able to achieve with a really sort of an attacking lineup around him and real talent around him.
Well, I was just about to bring that point up. I know you've mentioned it in a few podcasts in the past. You'd love to see what Zaha's like with some great players around him. But, at Arsenal, we'd probably have an arc in front of him of players decent, and then the ones next to him behind him will be absolutely crap. So, it's pretty hard to tell whether that would benefit him that much. Him and Mustafi breaking a move down open, I'm not sure that's too much of a step up, really.
I think the other interesting thing, as you hinted at, Chris, in your opening remarks on this, is what happens if that move doesn't happen and he really wants it. because we've seen this happen with other players at other clubs before, where they've agitated for moves. It's not happened, and they've ended up pretty much on strike. Now, I get the impression that Wilf loves our club and loves being part of it, but if for whatever reason he has one of those moments where he wants to move and he feels that his development is being blocked, then we could be in a real problem, especially as he's both our talisman and probably definitely our most valuable asset.
Well, it's a bit of respect, isn't it? I mean, Wilf will never disrespect Crystal Palace, you know that, and he really does value the support that he's had from the fans. It's not just lip service when he says it; you know it. He's a very straightforward and honest player, but you can see there being a problem, and it won't be a problem because the respect has to go the other way as well. The club have to respect that a player has to have ambitions, and if we as a club can't reach them, and let's face it, we can't, certainly not the way things are at the minute, and unless we get some huge investment from somewhere, it's not going to happen that we're going to start challenging the Champions League or something. So we have to have respect for Will from what he's done for Palace, and as horrible as that sounds, I'm almost advocating that we try to make that move as easy as possible for him so he gets that opportunity. But it won't feel good, let's put it that way.
This is a slightly different situation from a lot of those sort of moves with agitations like Van Dijk or someone like that, because this is more a situation where there isn't a team coming for him with the money that's been asked, which I know some people have said is a lot, but I personally don't think it is. If there'd been some offers and they'd been flatly turned down for the kind of money that he's worth, then I think it would be a different situation. But while there's no one coming in offering something, and if Arsenal do offer something near the right amount, then maybe it should be taken more seriously. But at the moment, it's nothing more than paper talk. So it's quite a different situation from sort of Hazard or something like that. And I'm sure Zaha will be fully aware that he'll need to prove himself more in order to get those kind of offers coming. And he hasn't got that much time, because within a year or so, his sell-on value will be going down because of his age. So he's probably in his best interest for himself to be putting in full effort next season if he does stay.
For sure. But I don't think there's any guarantee that he will be leaving the club. I think it's more likely than it's ever been, but it's quite possible we'll start the season with Wilfried Zaha again. But there we go. Just before we end this, I want to get into a couple of the transfer rumours in, because clearly when you start selling players, the best way to sort of placate the situation is to start bringing players in as well. There's a few stronger rumours. I'll start with a rumour that I kind of hope happens, but he's also been linked with Newcastle, and that's Alan St. Maxim. Is he playing for Nice, I think? Oh, my brain's just gone completely.
Nice, yeah.
Should have looked that up. Yeah, Nice, there we go. And in terms of a replacement for Wilf, when you actually watch what he is capable of, actually quite a similar player. Definitely very flamboyant, but same questions. I think he's 22, and the same questions people had at Wilf of 22 of the end product exist with him. But I mean, that's a £20 million player at the very least, extremely well regarded. I think Everton have also been linked today at the time of recording. So, it's more of a hope than an expectation that we would sign him, but that'd be an interesting one. But probably the two strongest rumours at the moment, and they've been going on quite a while, sort of back end of last season and into this season, are a couple of players from Brentford, Ollie Watkins and Neil Maupay. Watkins started his career at Exeter, came through their youth system, as sort of a winger / forward, very much in the kind of Wilf positional mould, but a very different player. Perhaps would liken him a little bit more to Townsend in that he's quite direct, not so much a box of tricks like Wilf is, but capable of running with the ball at pace. Decent goal return, decent assist return. So, talent from the Championship, maybe ready for that step up. It's a good risk depending on what Brentford want for him. And similarly, they've got a French forward called Neil Maupay who's really hit the goals for them over the last, I think, couple of years now. And pacey up front, something we haven't had quite a while, I don't think, in a striker in that mould. So, and we know Roy likes to play 2 players up top, so could be interesting to see him link up with maybe a fit Connor Wickham or Christian Benteke, assuming he hangs around as well.
If we can just get on to the signing rumours that have sounded the worst. Simon Mignolet, we posted about that on the Back of the Nest Twitter, and I don't think there was a positive comment that came from about 50 replies. 8 million was the rumour. I've got no idea where that came from, but it suddenly appeared in about 6 newspapers overnight a few days ago. Whether there's any truth in that whatsoever, or whether someone just decided to make something up, I don't see the need personally. And then I was reading that Fossey Mensah was mentioned as well, and I feel like that's been done, tested, and didn't work. The only other one I saw that I was really interested in was Nathaniel Klein. I don't know what anyone else thought.
I'd love to get Klein back. I know there's some personal issues, so I'm not sure how it'd work out coming back to London, but I think as a right back, his defence is very, very solid. He came off a few injuries and he's been out for a while at Liverpool and then Bournemouth. He was played okay, but I'd like to see him back. I don't know what Mignolet rumours came from, but I'd take him over Hennessy any day. So if that's what he's coming in for, I would take him as a backup goalkeeper. So I don't think that is a terrible idea. I just don't think that it will do it. I think that the whole thing with Wan-Bissaka, now that is actually done and dusted, I think you're going to start to see things. I mean, they report back to training tomorrow, obviously, so I think you're going to start hearing things. But it's a pathway to kind of wait. So I wouldn't get too caught up in the rumours, but I'm sure they've got to be working on something, because they would definitely need to strengthen, I think, central midfield and at least in the right back area.
I just want to take issue with Mike quickly on the idea that Timothy Fossey-Mensah has been given his chance and not taken it. I mean, obviously he wasn't brilliant at Fulham, but then no one was brilliant at Fulham last year. When he was playing for us, yes, he lost his place ultimately, but in that loan season with us, he also showed a turn of pace that meant that when he did make mistakes through defensive naivety, which he did, he was able to recover it. And what we've been saying is that we need someone who is quicker and has that ability to, compared to Joel Ward. I think Fossey-Mensah might be that, especially with the kind of coaching that someone like Roy and possibly teaching those good habits someone like Joel could provide. So I think he could be the future for us if we can get hold of him. Also, he gives the adaptability to play at centre-back as well. So I'd really like to see him come.
Well, I don't know how I feel about that. I hadn't seen Fossey-Mensah linked up with a return, and it does surprise me as I think about it now. I kind of sit in between that. I don't think he was terrible for us, but I also don't think he showed anything whilst with us that would make me think, let's go out and make him our number one right back. And I think we need a new number one right back. I don't think a season of Joel Ward is going to be of a benefit to us as much as he's a capable player at Premier League level. And I really do feel bad because it does sound disrespectful to a player that's given us a huge amount of time and played some fantastic football whilst with Palace. I think he's got the most appearances in the Premier League for the club. So that I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just trying to be brutally honest about it, about what I want to see. Because we saw such a big improvement when we had a player with the attributes of Wan-Bissaka appear at right back, that as much as we've talked about it not being a hugely important position, I think we can see that the fullbacks can make a real difference in the Premier League. But all right, look, we're going to have to leave it there. As much as we've sort of getting back into the flow of things, I'm sure you'll hear more from us throughout the course of pre-season and the season itself, of course. I hope you enjoyed this. More for you on the way. A little thing called Back of the Nest, the Palace years. Just a little teaser there for you. Be weird though if you listen to this after you've listened to one of those, which could happen. So I'm not gonna worry too much about that right now, because seeing as this is being recorded. But Mikey might need to cut that out. Anyway, thank you for listening.